lot of people come from broken homes, and a lot of the things that they believe are based on the experiences that they've had growing up. My name is Victor Gutierrez, and I actually just graduated from Augusta State University during the summer, and now I'm going on staff with the intercollegiate ministry called Campus Outreach in Houston, Texas. But while I was at ASU, the main thing is I was involved in were Campus Outreach, of course, but also pickup soccer. I was responsible for starting pickup soccer at ASU, and I was also involved with a number of study programs because I was very dedicated to my studies. Campus Outreach was started in 1978, and it started with literally two guys with a vision. And the vision was essentially, we want to multiply Christ-like leaders amongst college students. Because what we believe is, all of the greatest leaders in the world, what's one common thing about all of them? When you look at their lives, you see that they all went to college. So we believe that the future leaders of tomorrow on our college campus today, therefore they started with the vision of, okay, well, if they're going to be our future leaders, the best thing we can do is equip them with biblical principles so that when they go into the real world and they start working whatever job they want to work, we've equipped them with principles so that they can live Christ-like models in their workplaces. For example, we teach people to serve. So when you go into a job, it's not all about what can I get out of this? How can I benefit from this? Rather, the question is, how can I serve this place? How can I be a blessing to this place? And how can I work my hardest with the gifts God's given me in order to bless this place with whatever way I can? So that's what it started with two guys. These two guys didn't have a lot of success at first. They were recent college graduates.
Wow.
So they went to a church, and the church said, okay, we'll support you for a couple of years. We see what you want to do. Let's see how it goes for you. It didn't go very well.
Why?
Not many college students were responding. The thing with male Hispanic college students, I find, is it's really hard to get them to commit to anything, really. Just to get a guy to come to church with me.
Are you talking about Latinos in general?
I'm talking about just college students in general right
college,
now.
okay.
Yeah, so their goal was not to reach Hispanic students. Their goal was just to reach college students. Whoever would say, yeah, I'll do a Bible study with you, or yeah, I want to know more about what you're telling me. Yeah, I'll read the Bible with you, and we'll do a Bible study. So they had a lot of hard time trying to get these guys to commit to any type of Bible study or anything in general, which is usually what you find, especially when it comes
to... Is this in college general in the entire United States?
Unless you're inviting a guy to a party or something that's really fun, it's really hard to get guys to commit to something like, let's talk about your spiritual life. It's like, well, I'm pretty busy right now. I have a test tomorrow. I don't know if I have an hour a week to... When we have ministry events, we do have parties. And it's really funny because we'll invite someone to a party. We'll say, yeah, man, we're going to have a party. There's going to be food, and we're going to have drinks, and we're going to have, we have a pool table. We have ping pong. And they're like, yeah, man, I'm there. And we get a lot of people that come. But when they get there, the first thing they realize is, where's the beer? I thought this was a party. Where's the...
So when you say drink, could be water.
Yeah, I'm referring to soda. But they'll get there, and if they're not instantly greeted, if someone doesn't sort of engage them in conversation, I mean, just like any other place, you're not going to want to stay. So a lot of times when we see new people come, we'll try to engage as many people as we can. Hey, how's it going? What's your name? And just basic information. Hey, man, you play pool? We can get in the next game. What do you think? We have some food over here. Are you hungry? We can get you some food. So the first step is to build a friendship. So we don't treat people as programs as much as we can. We don't go into it thinking, man, how can we get this guy into our organization? It's a matter of, you know what, I'm just going to build a broad network of friendships and love on all these people unconditionally, regardless of the type of response that I may want to get. If I don't get it, that's okay. I'm going to build friendships. That's the first step. I try to get as many observations as I can make from a person. It's good to find out their background, it's good. I'm going to approach a guy about spiritual things, if this guy has grown up in a church his entire life in the South, I can already make some generalizations about this type of
You
guy.
don't try to convert people.
Well, I don't like the word convert. We don't go in there, I think sometimes in the South, you see these guys standing outside with their signs saying, repent or burn. And you see a lot of these types of things in the South, hellfire and brimstone type preaching.
You don't go after those people.
No, no. What we go after is people who are spiritually interested in learning more things. People who want to know more about the Bible and the teachings of Jesus, and they want to learn more about spiritual things. So it takes a while to find out if someone is spiritually interested in learning more.
How long can it take? Month? Year?
It could take a day. It could take 2-3 months. With me, it took a while. When Kirk, which is the guy who began to invest time in me, I wasn't interested in spiritual things whatsoever. So a lot of the things that I mentioned earlier, partying, dedicating a lot of time to things that weren't necessarily beneficial for my health, mentally, emotionally, or physically, I was.
So you were one of those.
Yeah.
One of those 99%.
Exactly. I was one of those guys, and my friend at the time, Kirk, he just kept pursuing friendship, and it got to the point where I trusted him, and once I began to trust.
But you didn't know him before.
No, I had no idea who he was. I didn't even know who Campus Outreach was. I didn't know about Campus Outreach until months into it. I started finding out, oh, you work for Campus Outreach, and up until that point, it was literally just, here's Kirk, he's my friend, and we're becoming good friends, and I'm beginning to get to the point where I trust him more and more, and we become more and more open with each other, and we start discussing more guy things. I think that's due to my Hispanic nature. It's very important for me to trust someone before I open up to them. So I'll open up to my family way more faster than I'll open up to anyone else because I trust them the most. So it took a while to build a trust with me. I was definitely rebellious against God when I was going into college.
But your parents didn't want to push you against the wall. You got to believe. No.
They've never pushed me. And that's one of the great things about my parents, because even with my sister, she loves to dance. And there's nothing wrong with dancing. However, a lot of times people correlate going out at night to dance with, oh, then you're obviously also going to be drinking, and there's going to be a lot of risk that you're going to run if you do that. And
so you automatically are a sinner because you are dancing.
Well,
is that
sometimes people correlate dancing with this. Okay, I'm going to go dance on a Saturday night. So people in their mind are most of the time think, okay, well, there's probably going to be drinking, and there's going to be guys that are going to be trying to do inappropriate things with you afterwards, and you run the risk of dot. That's what some people may say. Most parents, I would think, do not go dancing past midnight on a Saturday night. That's wrong, and you're going to run the risk of many things. Well, my parents sort of went the other way. They said, okay, we're going to put in some things so that you're safe when you go dancing Saturday night, but at the end of the day, we're going to find ways to work with you. We're going to let you go dance. We're going to have some, a standard that we set for you, some rules that you have to follow by, but yes, go dance. And now what they're finding is a lot of other people's kids, where their parents were just super, don't do this, don't do that. It's sort of like they rebel more than someone who, when you say, okay, we're going to give you some rules to follow, but yes, go have fun and dance. There's nothing wrong with that. So even though I was rebelling, my parents didn't know it because I could put a good facade up.
And besides, they was not pushing you against the wall. Don't do this.
No. It was a more subtle rebellion.
So that's why you were more open to.
Oh yeah.
To be part of.
Because many things that Kirk and I talked about when it came to spiritual things, I already knew. It was just a matter of, in my heart, it wasn't penetrating my heart. The information just stayed at a head knowledge level. The things that we would talk about, for example, Jesus and God and just biblical principles to live by, they were just knowledge. And my motivation for wanting to do those things was just, how can I succeed in life? Tell me what I need to do. What can I take from this in order so I can better myself? And that was ultimately the motive, as opposed to, man, how can I take these principles to serve others? It's a big difference. It's a paradigm shift. Huge difference when it comes to thinking about life and just how you can be a blessing to others. So the motivation, the heart, was in the wrong place, but it's hard for people to see the heart unless you open up to someone and share what's really going on, instead of being, what I was being at the time was fake in a lot of ways, yeah, man, I believe what you believe. That's great, you know. But then I'm going and I'm doing these other things on the side, and deep down I'm thinking, okay, how can I succeed in life? How can I, you know, to the point where what do I have to do to succeed? Even if that means ... You know, even I have to do so and so right here. So the way we work in campus outreach is when someone goes on staff with campus outreach, we don't ask people, we don't send out, you know, massive applications to people and say, you know, fill this out and we'll see if you're qualified or not. We work from the inside out. So anytime someone goes on staff with campus outreach, many times it's someone that we already know, we've known for years. It's someone within our ministry. So after someone completes a campus outreach degree, it's not a real degree, but once someone's been involved with campus outreach and it's time for them to graduate, many people go into a profession, many people. However, there are a few who decide, you know, I would like to possibly do what was done with me. And you know, and that is in the context of what was done with me is, you know, meet someone who's a freshman and you know, get to know them, be friends with them, and really see them all the way through graduation, you know, the entire process. So I'm one of those guys where I began investigating, okay, well, you know, I'm about to graduate. When I became a senior, I asked myself that question, you know, what do I want to do? And at the end of a lot of praying and meditating, I came to the conclusion that I would like to dedicate my next season of life to campus outreach and do many things, do what was done with me with a number of guys, and specifically Hispanics. So the problem was I don't know where to go, because at Augusta State there's not a lot of Hispanics. You know, around the country there's not a lot of Hispanics in college. So it was really cool when the opportunity came about that around the same time I was graduating, there was a team from another campus outreach region going to Houston, Texas. And not only Houston, Texas, but they were going first to the University of Houston, which just happened to be a big school with over 39,000 students, and 23.5% of them are Hispanic. So it just happened to be that they're going to Texas, and it just happened to be that the first campus they're going to, they could have gone to Rice University, they could have gone to Texas A&M, they could have started at many other universities. There's a lot of universities in Houston, but they chose for some reason to start at the University of Houston, and that's when the doors really began to open for me. And I began to say, okay, well, you know, just in general, how many Hispanics have been on staff with campus outreach? You know, I find out, I'm going to be the first one. And I began thinking, okay.
In the entire country?
Yeah. Well, we're predominantly in the southeast.
Okay.
We're beginning to expand.
There is nothing much in the north.
No. I don't know how far up north we go, but it's not very far. It's definitely not. We definitely don't have a campus outreach in New York, for sure. So we're starting to expand west as a ministry, and what we're finding is that when you expand more and more west, what you find is you begin to deal with more diversity as far as your ethnicity is concerned. My role with campus outreach is to take campus outreach, to do the groundbreaking work in taking campus outreach to the Hispanic world. Therefore, my role is going to be to really to create a sort of a template for the most productive ways and the most efficient ways to really minister to college Hispanic students. And the really cool thing about all of this is that in a lot of ways it hasn't been done before in this ministry, because one, we don't interact with a whole lot of Hispanics because there just aren't that many around the country. But at the University of Houston, it's a good picture of what it will be like 20-25 years from now, and that's more Hispanics in college. So as a ministry, we're beginning to realize that if we want to really stick around as a ministry, we're going to have to learn how to minister to more than just Anglos. We're going to have to learn to minister to African Americans and Asians and Hispanics and many more different people groups if we want to continue to even be around the United States, because the United States is growing more and more diverse as the years pass. So my goal is to really take the campus outreach principles of being a Christ-like leader, of allowing the gospel to really penetrate many areas of someone's life, you know, to ask the question, you know, what does the Bible say about how I should interact with my family? How should, you know, what does it say about hard work? You know, Does it really mean that, whatever I do, I'm to do with all my heart? What we help people figure out, okay, what are my giftings? How am I gifted as a person? And maybe I shouldn't be a nurse. Maybe I'm more apt to be a politician. And so a lot of times it's really hard to discern these type of things when you're in college because you have so many opportunities. And you're always wondering, what should I do? I have no idea what to do. So we like to help people think through those things. How can they use their giftings in order to bless others? So with Hispanics at the University of Houston, it really is a pioneering endeavor. And when I get there, I'm going to do the same exact things in the beginning that was done with me. I'm going to build a broad network of friendships. And, usually what we do in campus outreach is we start flag football teams, but instead I'm probably going to start soccer teams. I'm gonna figure out, okay, how do I take these principles that I've learned, but how do I apply them in this cultural context? And in a lot of ways, what my ministry knows is, Victor, you have the freedom to take chances and to try new things. You don't have to do it the exact same way that we do it. You can try new things out. So I'm not going to go quickly into a Bible study because what I find is that most Hispanics, they don't read the Bible a whole lot. Even if they grow up around spiritually, they've had parents who've influenced them spiritually, and even though they've gone to church, many Hispanics, what I find, rarely actually read the Bible, especially young people. What I find with young Hispanics are they don't take spiritual things seriously until either a crisis happens in their life or until they get out of college, and they're sort of pushed into the real world, and they realize, man, I do need God. I do need God if I want to deal with all these different crazy things that are starting to happen to me. So my goal is to really build a lot of friendships, and we're going to have different events that are going to be more accommodating to Hispanics, and they are going to have to interact as they begin to get involved with the ministry. They are going to have to learn to interact with other people, because my team is very diverse. We have Anglos in our team, we have African Americans. So, but it's going to be much more easier to learn a different culture if they haven't already, because I'm going to be sort of that bridge to help them see, okay, look guys, even though these guys over here, they don't necessarily wear the same things we do, they don't eat the same things we do, they don't talk the same way we do, there's more to a person than the exterior. It's vital to really see, okay, what is in a person's heart, to really not even think about just, man, this guy's different, but how can I even become all things to all people in order to make other people feel more comfortable without sacrificing what I believe in. So to really help them understand, how to really see beyond just the exterior, because a lot of times in college, even with me, it's very easy just to see the exterior and place the value of a person off of that, and not really who that person is once you have a conversation with them. It's really interesting to really have a conversation with someone and just analyze, man, how did I perceive this person before I talked to them? And now, wow, after this conversation, I see that, man, we had a lot more in common than we actually thought. So it really is a big endeavor, and I understand that with what I want to do, it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of time. Someone doesn't change just overnight. So with the CO process, the first year, what we try to do with students is we just try to be their friends, and we try to begin engaging them in spiritual conversation. So we begin asking questions, do you believe in God? Growing up, did you go to church? Did you ever go to church? And we'll hear many things, and some people come from good homes in my experience, but a lot of times what I find is a lot of people come from broken homes, and a lot of the things that they believe are based on the experiences that they've had growing up. And a lot of times, for example, what I find is a lot of people's perception of God are based on how their father treated them. So if they had a good father, they're more prone to believe, yeah, God is good. But if they had an abusive father or someone who wasn't there for them emotionally, their perception is, man, God is very distant. I don't think I can believe in something like that. I need something that's more real, because that whole God thing, I just feel like he's emotionally distant from me. I think that while you're growing up as a kid, you neglect just how much you are influenced by your family. I think that once you go to college, or maybe shortly after college, you begin to realize my family really has influenced me a lot. So for example, throughout the week I'll do certain things without even realizing it before, but now I realize, oh, I just did that because that's what my dad does. You know, like, I can't believe I just did that. That's what my dad does. And what you begin to realize is you're more and more like your parents than you actually think. You don't want to admit it. You know, a lot of times a kid doesn't want to admit that, you know, I'm just like my parents. But in a lot of ways, you really are just like your parents. Not in every case, but in many cases, what I find is, you know, 70-80% of the time, you imitate what your parents do a lot of times, and you make the decisions that they would make, and you think the way they think, and you don't begin to realize that really until after, I think, the older you get. I think you get to a point where you mature more in your life, and you begin to realize, yeah, I have been more influenced by my parents than I actually gave them credit for. But when you're growing up, like for example in high school, you don't really realize that. You're just in high school, you're just trying to fit into the norm. The last thing you want to do is be different from anyone. So it's not cool to be like your parents in high school. It's cool to be like whatever the cool thing is, the cool group. Okay, I'm going to do that. But I think after high school you begin to realize I am more like my parents than I realized. I'm a Spanish major with a minor in communications. Anytime someone wants to start a campus outreach, the first thing they do is find a local church near a college campus. They find a good church. So they talk to the church, they explain what they're all about, their mission statement and their strategy for what they do, their vision for what they do, and the church says, okay, you know, we'll host you. You can be a ministry of our church. So our organization is a ministry of the church. Our authority is the church. So we value the church a lot. The next thing we do after finding a church is we go to the campus and we become a club or organization of a college campus. So I'm not a college student. It'd be weird if all I did was go to the University of Houston and just start, you know, meeting people without the authority or the permission or consent of the school. So what we do is we talk to the school, we tell them what we're about, and many times the schools are more than welcoming. You know, they're very just, yes, come influence these students, you know, come teach them leadership principles, come teach them how to serve, you know, all these great things. You know, they're usually more than happy to host campus outreach. But yeah, we're an organization of the school. We're a club, if you will, of the school. So that's our leg in. And it's not a church service. It's much more welcoming to college students, and we touch on topics that are very relevant to college students. And we have those. We have Sunday night. Well, it doesn't have to be Sunday night, but we have prayer meetings once a week. Those are our main ministry events. We have retreats that are weekend long each semester. We have Christmas conference, which lasts for about 6 days. And then our main tool, our biggest tool for training students are our summer beach projects, which is a 2-month summer program that we have around different places around the country. That's where people grow the most. After those programs, a lot of people come back to their campus, completely different people. Because what they have there is they're in a community, a tight-knit community, where everyone is learning the same things. So you can hold each other accountable to the things that you're learning. If you have questions, people are right there. You have older people who can help you answer certain questions. You have people who are pushing you to grow more and more. And it's really, really cool. And you have a full-time job. So you're not just going to chill. For example, we go to Daytona Beach here. And we're not just going to chill on the beach for 8 hours and get training for 2 hours. No, we have to work a full-time job. Right? So we've influenced the community in Daytona Beach so much that they've dedicated a day to us, Campus Outreach Day, because the employees are very thankful for just the work ethic that we come with, you know, willingness to work hard, even if we're just flipping burgers. Some people, they don't need a job, so what they do is they volunteer their entire time. So we volunteer at a local inner city daycare center, and we're a blessing there. We volunteer for the city. So we have people who put picnic tables together. We have people picking up trash around the city, and we serve the community. And after work, we have our training program. Our day of rest is Sunday. That's where we go to church, and a lot of times people take 2-3 hours to take a long nap because they're just very exhausted. Going on that program was way harder than my time as a student because it was just a constant, there is no skipping class, and you have to go to the programs, and you have to go to the meetings after work. We don't make anyone sign a contract. It's just a matter of you become more and more dedicated to this program because they become your friends. So it's just natural in a lot of ways. We follow the teachings of Jesus. And when we do that, what we begin to realize is life is a lot bigger than just me. And we begin to ask the question, what is life really worth living for? Is it really just to serve yourself? So the meat of who we are, if you had to sum it up in a couple words, is we aim to really glorify God. So we want people to feel the weight of the reality that there is a God. There is a God. And the response is for you to take your life and essentially to just give it away. To give your time to others, to give your gifts to others, to serve others. So it's to really multiply Christ-like leaders. That's our goal. Our meat is life-on-life discipleship, and the way that happens is through friendships, And what we do is, the goal is when you graduate from college, we want you to be one that goes into your sphere of influence and you lead a movement. And you're not leading, in this type of movement, it's not a power movement. It's a serving movement. It's really going into a work environment, giving your all, working hard. And while you're doing that, you're building friendships. And you're beginning to engage people spiritually, doing the same exact things that you were doing in college that were done with you, but now you're in a work environment. And it's to take all those different things, and our goal is to start small. We see the masses through the individual. So our concept is, man, if you go deep with a couple people, it's going to have a multiplying effect. So for example, the best way I've seen this played out through my life is with a guy named Chris Robinson. He's actually my best friend now. And Chris went to high school with me at Westminster, so we were hearing about God during high school, and we were hearing the gospel. He went to college to play college basketball at Covenant for 2 years, and then he came to ASU his junior year. So when he came here, we began to reestablish our friendship, and we began to catch up and whatnot. Well, through time, Chris really he catches hold of this vision that I have, And he begins to say, okay, how do I do what you just did with me? So I did a Bible study with about 15 guys. But through time, Chris was the main guy who was responding to everything. And he was really beginning to open up more to me. He was sharing more things with me. And he was more humble and coming to me and saying, you know what, I don't know what to do in this situation. This guy did this to me, or my parents just said this, or ... How do I think through some of these things? What does the Bible say about some of these things? I don't know. So I began to, help him study the Word, the Bible. And I began to teach him how to pray. I began to tell him about the importance of church. So through all these things, one semester later, he's a completely different man. The next semester, I began to equip him with tools. So now, just last semester, he did a Bible study with 5 guys on the ASU basketball team. It's a really cool endeavor because I really do believe that by reaching the Hispanics at the University of Houston, I'm going to be reaching many more than just them themselves, but I'll be reaching the people that they influence as well after I've had time with them over an extended period of time.
A production of Anibal Ibarra.
AnibalShow.com.
AnibalShow.com.